Seneca, the richest man in Rome and his secret about inner poverty. Lucius Aeneas. Seneca was the richest man in Rome. Palaces, land, servants. The direct ear of Emperor Nero. Everything the ancient world considered success, Seneca had it. And he wrote the most profound texts ever written about why none of it was enough. That is not hypocrisy. That is the most important lesson he left us. Seneca was born around 4 BC in Cordoba, in what is now Spain. He was taken to Rome as a child, studied philosophy, rhetoric, and natural sciences, and became one of the most brilliant writers of the empire. His life was not comfortable. He was exiled to Corsica for 8 years on a false charge. He returned to become the tutor of young Nero, and when Nero became one of the cruelest emperors in history, Seneca found himself trapped in his court. In the end, Nero ordered him to take his own life, and Seneca died as he lived, with a philosophical clarity that still resonates today. First lesson: time is the only thing you truly own. Seneca wrote in his most famous letter, "It is not that we have a short time to live, it is that we waste much of it." Stop there. He did not say life is short. He said we make it short. That is an enormous difference. The richest man in Rome understood something most people spend a lifetime learning. You can accumulate wealth, power, and reputation, and still arrive at the end having wasted the one thing that cannot be returned. The time you gave to what did not matter, the hours spent worrying about the opinion of people you no longer remember, the years you lived for a version of yourself that was never enough. Seneca called it living distracted, and it is the deepest poverty that exists because you do not see it until it is already too late. Second lesson: outer wealth does not cure inner poverty. Seneca wrote it with a precision that stings. The soul that has no fixed aim loses itself. As the proverb says, to be everywhere is to be nowhere. He knew this problem from the inside. He was rich. He was famous. He had political influence. And in his most private letters, he admitted that none of it filled what he called the restlessness of the soul. How many people do you know who have everything they wanted? The job, the relationship, the house, the money, and still feel something is missing? That is not ingratitude. That is inner poverty. And Seneca diagnosed it 2,000 years ago. The cure, according to him, was not more wealth. It was more clarity, knowing what you want, why you want it, and whether that why is yours or borrowed from someone else. Third lesson: prepare to lose everything. Here, Seneca becomes uncomfortable, and that is exactly why he is worth listening to. He wrote, "Contemplate and embrace in thought all the things that can be taken from you: children, spouse, work, health. Repeat to yourself, perhaps tomorrow." Not as pessimism, as liberation. He called this practice premeditatio malorum, the anticipation of misfortune. His argument was simple. The fear of losing something makes us slaves to that thing. When you regularly contemplate loss, fear loses its power, and what remains is real gratitude. Not the gratitude you say out loud, but what you feel when you understand that nothing you have was guaranteed. Seneca lost his freedom, his position, and finally his life. And the texts he wrote in those final years are the most serene he ever produced. There is a paradox at the center of everything Seneca wrote. He was the richest man in Rome, and he spent his life telling you that wealth was not what you thought it was. Not because he was a hypocrite, but because he lived it. He had everything, and from inside everything, he saw with clarity what was missing. That is the difference between wisdom and advice. Advice comes from someone who read about something. Wisdom comes from someone who lived it and came out the other side with something to say. Seneca came out, and what he said changes how you look at your own life. If this video found you today, there is one question Seneca would ask you. Are you living your time, or are you letting it pass? In the next video, we talk about Epictetus, the slave who owned nothing and was freer than any rich man in Rome. See you there.